Hey, what's up, you guys? Before we start this episode of Man on a Mission, which is going to be fire, by the way, I want to give a shout out to one of our main sponsors, Randy Oaks. Randy is an insurance broker to the stars, not only locally here in Coeur d'Alene in the Inland Northwest. Is he one of the most powerful brokers in town, but nationally has some of the biggest clients in America. Randy was introduced to me 15 years ago. I have been working with him since the day I got into entrepreneurship. And let me just tell you, Randy may be the reason I'm actually sitting here today. When you really connect the dots looking backwards, I cannot tell you how many times as our net worth grew, and as our foundation of our business grew, so did the assets and so did the liabilities. We have been hit so many times in business. And if you're an entrepreneur and you run a big business and you're a founder, you know exactly what this means. If you do not have a guy on your team like Randy Oaks that is an insurance broker that really understands how this whole world works, then when you get hit, it's going to be really painful if you do not have a guy like that that fights for you. We literally would have probably been out of business 2 or 3 times right now. We got sued one time, $40 million lawsuit. Turned into not a penny out of pocket for us because their legal team literally stepped up to the plate and ended up settling it, and it didn't cost us a dime, and we never lost our insurance, thank God, knock on wood. We had a jewelry store heist in our jewelry retail business that literally left us naked because we did not close down correctly, and that left our insurance void. I remember just being sick to my stomach when we screwed up, and we knew it, and Randy said, "Don't worry, man, I will figure it out for you. Let me go fight for you." And that was a nightmare process. It took months and months, but he finally literally leveraged everything, all his brand power in the world after a lifetime of being in this industry. And he made us whole, not a penny out. I just got to give him a huge shout out and thank you. I couldn't think of a better person to give this testimonial to. And I want to make sure that you guys know that if you have a business and you have assets, that means you also have liabilities. And if you have a net worth and it's growing, you need to protect them. If you don't know your insurance agent, or if you have some half-assed company, or even worse, if you hire Geico, I'm imploring you right now to reach out to my man, Randy Oaks. Not only is he a dear friend, but he's one of the most well-connected guys in America. If you have a business, trust me, and you listen to this and you trust me, and I do not vouch for anybody that I do not believe in. I won't do it. It's my reputation. Then I'm telling you, you need to hire this man. He is a life changer, literally life changer. And he knows everyone. One of the most connected guys in America, Randy Oaks. We will put his contact information in the show notes. When you need insurance, call Randy Oaks. All right, on with the show. Guys are really needed in society right now where masculinity is under assault. We can't define what a woman is, and children are being indoctrinated to consider whether they're a boy or girl, regardless of their biology.
Even in that world, though, you have to make a decision, right? And the decision is really simple. As a public figure, are you going to be somebody who wants to be popular, or are you going to be somebody on purpose? I wanted the big stages growing up. I wanted to have stadiums full of people. I wanted all those things until the calling rested on my soul. And then I recognized that's not what I wanted. I wanted what was God's call on my life to happen. I could be done tonight. Tonight could be it. I go to sleep, I don't wake up. Here's what I know. I have no regrets. None. No regrets. I play all in, but that's only because I chose the path of purpose. And that purpose is this: speaking the words that God is asking me to speak, no matter the consequence of those words on my own life.
COVID was an interesting period of time. We watched government just crush the average person here in America. Something was called in me during that time because I was pissed at the TV, and there's nothing I could do about it. I wasn't helping anyone. Somehow I found people, and it really inspired me to sort of level up. And those are the type of people that I want to be around. It's the kind of guy that I want to be. I want to admit that and radiate that same thing. But if you're a person that blows in the wind or is only trying to say the right thing based on who's around, I wonder how many of these people can speak freely for how they really feel inside their home versus what their public persona is.
Should they be saying something? Should they not? I don't know. I think that there is a generation of Sauls to Paul. God is calling a revival to the front line of industry. Men who are unafraid of darkness, who know the game of this life.
All right, guys, so we're here today with Man on a Mission. This is kind of technically part 2. I got my boy Garrett White here. We are on his beautiful, I'm just going to say it, it's a $40 million property in one of the most exclusive neighborhoods in the world, right here in Dana Point. We got the ocean behind us, so we're on the road right now. I had an incredible conversation earlier with his wife, Danielle, and now I get the honor to interview the man himself. I've always looked up to Garrett. He's one of these people. I'll just give some quick perspective. You know, he started Wake Up Warrior. He's kind of the OG in the personal development space and beyond. I would take this much further than just that, but, you know, very well known in that space. This is a person that is going to coach your coach, the one that's the best in the industry. They go to guys like Garrett, and he's been doing this for a lot of years. What I admire about Garrett is number one, I'm just going to maybe start off with here, Garrett, is in a world right now where I see so much bad stuff happening, a lot of evil sort of taking over. you have a lot of people that you would think that would really be supportive of your cause and your voice and the fire that you bring to everything you do. I would describe Garrett as like, it's the 300. You know, you're the Leonidas type. That's the guy you want fighting when there's hell that's taken over society. And a lot of the people that you would think support, they really don't in a big sense. And that's what intrigued me about you the most. And I could spot that from that's why I asked you it earlier. But I think, and I'll just tee this off, guys like Garrett are really needed in society right now where masculinity is under assault. We can't define what a woman is, and children are being indoctrinated to consider whether they're a boy or girl, regardless of their biology. This is, I don't know where this ends and it's twisted, but I want to kind of set off on a little bit of heavier note because when I think of Garrett, I think of a warrior that does fight. It's the brand that he built, and it's the mark that he leaves. So Garrett, thanks for doing the show, man, at your home. Appreciate it.
I love it. Well, this is a good spot. This is a good deck to do it on. We got a good view. We got the horizon out here over the Strand. And as peaceful as it is right here, we kind of live in a little pocket, little bubble here in Orange County. Yeah. And in the neighborhood I'm in the Strand, it's a bubble within a bubble within a bubble. You know, people are like, oh, you're from California? I was like, yeah, but we're not from the California you see on TV. Right. We're from a typically conservative place.
All more conservative. Here?
And most all entrepreneurs are high-level executives and founders of companies. And everybody, a lot of people, even in that world, though, you have to make a decision, right? And the decision is really simple. As a public figure, are you going to be somebody who wants to be popular?
Right.
Or are you going to be somebody on purpose?
That's good.
And I had to make that decision. And I wanted the big stages growing up. I wanted to be the Tony. I wanted to have stadiums full of people. I wanted all those things until the calling rested on my soul. And then I recognized that's not what I wanted. What I wanted was God's call on my life to happen. That my soul was committed and commissioned to do here in this world, no matter if it was 48 years and I'm dead next week, just like John Ruhlin. John's walking and hiking on a trail with his 4 daughters, has a heart attack and dies right in front of him 3 weeks ago.
Good man.
Amazing human. I've known him for 12 years. I was FaceTiming 48 hours before it happened. Like, I could be done tonight. Tonight could be it. I go to sleep, I don't wake up. Here's what I know. I have no regrets. None. No regrets. I play all in, but that's only because I chose the path of purpose. And that purpose is this: speaking the words that God is asking me to speak, no matter the consequence of those words on my own life.
Yeah. Yeah, you put it out there.
In a big way. And it's been, I feel like we've been protected at Warrior. I do. I feel like I've been in a bit of a bubble. I feel like God has protected me and the movement to this point, but I also know we are moving into a season over the next few months in which everything we've been preparing for here at Wake Up Warrior and the tens of thousands of men that I've been leading, we are now ready to come out from underneath God's shield of protection in the way it's been, which is almost like a preparatory game, like the minor leagues getting ready to deploy into the major leagues. Right. And we're going to take whatever he comes from us with saying what we need to say.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you what, COVID was an interesting period of time. And if you had your really head on straight and you open your eyes, you realize how precious society really is. You saw the supply chain, how close. And, so a lot of times when things are going good, people may look at you, critics may look at you and say, oh, he's crazy, all the things. But then if incidents like that happen, it makes you realize how powerless we are as citizens, really. Mm-hmm. We watch government just crush the average person here in America. They try to shut my business down in every state we operate. But to me, it was a big eye-opener. I think a lot of the reason that I'm doing this today with you, why I'm here, is something was called in me during that time because I was pissed at the TV, and there's nothing I could do about it. I couldn't help anyone. I wasn't helping anyone. Somehow, I found people like you, and it really inspired me to sort of level up. It's impossible not to be around you, not feel your standard. And those are the type of people that I want to be around. It's the kind of guy that I want to be. I want to admit that and radiate that same thing. But if you're a person that blows in the wind or is only trying to say the right thing based on who's around, and that's what you just spoke into, like this community, perfect example. I wonder how many of these people can speak freely for how they really feel inside their home versus what their public persona is. What we get with you is the same. Really?
Yeah. They make money. They make money. They won't say it. Does
that bother you?
Nah, I don't care. They do whatever they're supposed to do. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. Okay. Like, to me, it's like, should they be saying something? Should they not? I don't know. I think that there is a generation of Sauls to Paul. God is reaching down. The revival will not come through the church. The revival will not come through seeding new mega churches. The revival will not come because we got another branch of the whatever non-denominational, or because the Mormons sent out another 10,000 missionaries, or because the Catholics decided to do something amazing. It won't happen because of any of that. God is calling a revival to the front line of industry, and he's coming to men who have power and who are unafraid of darkness, who know money, who know wealth, who know sex, who know the game of this life. They're not afraid to play the game of this life. The only difference is they didn't get the call. And so now you're watching one by one, men like me in the last 3 years are getting the call. God's reaching down in his way. You know, God found me right here on the deck, just right over here. I was watching Vikings Netflix series. Danielle's pregnant with our last daughter, asleep. I'm smoking cigars watching Netflix. I never watched Netflix. I'm 9 episodes in. Ragnar Lothbrok, the pagan Viking king, is getting baptized a Christian. And I have my moment. I have my moment watching Vikings while smoking a cigar. This is in complete contradiction to I went to church, I heard a great sermon, I stood up, I felt the power of Jesus, here I am. I don't subscribe to that world. And men that are being called right now don't play the church world. So God's saying, I don't need more churches. I need Christ on the front line of industry and life. I need this to be a regular topic. I need men to hear my voice again. I need men to feel again. This is not going to happen if all we have is a happy, clappy service every Sunday where we worship for 45 minutes and then we hear somebody ask for some money and then we get a nice message and every guy in that congregation turns around and does the same they did last week. Nothing.
Yeah. You know, from my position, you would think that a lot of church would get behind you. If people do want to go within the four walls to sort of like, you know, find their best of who they are as a person and a man. But you think the leaders of these places would really support you and call it, do any of them? Or is it sort of, do you feel like you're up against the wall?
We're getting them. It's all the fringe ones.
Yeah.
It's the ones that had affairs and then lost their churches, and then
a lot of those.
The porn stars that then became Christians,
Yeah.
the dudes that were drug dealers and now run large churches. So it's anybody that came from the fringe. If you were like carbon copy from the cloth, your grandpa was a pastor, you're a pastor,
Sure.
dad was a pastor, these guys are kind of like, My pastor's great. Like, I really love him. Mark Francis from Ocean Church. He's great. He handles me real well. The only downside I have with every pastor I've met, though, outside of the kind of the dark lords I run with, is the fact that they will not talk about darkness.
Yeah, I mean, every man has it.
They will not admit they have it. In business, we don't have a problem talking about this. Actually, that's not true. A lot of people do. In business, we know, that dude cheated. Oh, yeah, of course he did. In business, like, that dude's like got this drug problem. Yeah, of course he did. It's a lot of pressure. I think the pastoral world is screwed because they've been placed in a plastic box. And the challenge is people are looking to the church to solve these problems. These men can't solve these problems.
So considering like government and sort of the role of taking God out of schools.
Massive issue.
Yeah, and now what's being sort of replaced with that, you know, how does that all sort of play into your greater philosophy of what's good and what's wrong and what's messed up in the society?
We don't have father issues with our fathers. This is what it's all being blamed on, right? Girls have daddy issues. Boys weren't raised by strong men. I thought that was the case too. I have a different theory now. My theory is that we all have daddy issues, and our big daddy issue is none of us are connected to our Father in heaven. So we're running around like abandoned orphans, and we don't hear his voice, and we're leaning into each other and other people's podcasts, your podcast, my podcast. We're listening to other people. We're hoping to hear the one thing, which is God's voice in our life again.
Yeah, right.
So if you watch all the stripping that's happening, the government's stripping it out. We're stripping out of the schools. We're stripping it out of business. You're stripping out everything. Don't talk about God. Don't talk about God. Don't talk about God. Don't talk about God. Okay, good. So what's happening? Stress levels are going up. Depression's going up. Anxiety's going up. Suicide's going up. Divorce is going up. Obesity's going up. Everything's going up. Why? Because we all have one big daddy issue, which is Papa's talking, nobody's listening.
Yeah.
And people are dying from it. They're dying in the worst ways, not even just dying. They're dying in the worst of ways, which is their souls are just up in this game of constipation where they feel no connection and they feel nothing. Yeah.
I think Joe Rogan, I don't think he came up with the quote. I think he popularized it, that it's that when strong men basically go to battle, I'm how it was phrased, that good times happen, and then when good times happen, like weak men are the byproduct of that process, and then when weak men sort of are everywhere in society. Times. Yeah, now we're in this cycle of hell. I wonder if we truly are in there, what does that mean? where now weak men are sort of are reigning supreme and being elevated on a pedestal is something that's great.
Do you understand how unique you are as a human, as a man on the planet today? You're jacked, you're rich, you're connected, you care, you have a woman, you're loyal, you're not a cheater, you're on this focus game, you're not a drug addict. You're a unicorn. I've traveled all around the world the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It's disgusting everywhere.
Really?
Men are just weak everywhere. They look down, they won't look you in the eye, they look around, they're all nervous, they're jittery.
Yeah, I see
they're
that.
soft, they're jittery, they're soft and jittery. And the generation coming behind us,
Even worse.
oh my video game revolution.
Yeah.
This entire generation, my daughter's age, 15, 16, 17, 18, every single one of them little fish hands. Like the boys can't tell if they're boys or girls. They're all feminized. They're all lazy. They don't want to work. All the girls are like confused. And that's why you have all these young girls with dudes that are 20 years older than them, 25 years older than them. The girls also get it. They're like, I ain't hanging out with these weak boys. I'm going to go get me a man.
Yeah.
And that's why you see these dudes in their 50s dating girls in their 20s. And now the 20-year-olds don't have, who are the 20-year-olds dating?
Yeah, it's messed up now.
Because the 20-year-olds, all the girls they're dating now are hanging out with dudes 20 years older than them, which means you have this whole generation of boys that are literally, they can't get their own women because their girls their age are all going for the older dudes. The older dudes' marriages are falling apart, so they're going for the younger dudes, younger girls. So you're like, okay, well, what happens? How you solve it? You talk.
Yeah, we're doing it.
We're doing it.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. When you were talking, I was thinking about like how history repeats itself. Always trying to make sure that I personally align myself on the right side of history. And sometimes when you're in the moment of being on what potentially is probably going to be the right side of history, it's not that popular. You kind of may have to be a man that stands alone a little bit, or it feels like that more people should support you and they don't, even though because your heart's in the right place and you at least have the courage to call things out that most of these people think, but they don't want to ruin their business.
They all think.
Yeah, well, I feel like anyone that's logical,
even here, listen, they tried to get me to run for the board here, and I did, and I had 3 different billionaires in this neighborhood sit me down and say, hey, we need you to run for the board.
Yep.
We think you're a good representative, and then of course I didn't get voted in, and they said, and then they called me when I was in Mexico, like, you didn't get in. I was like, I figured.
Yep.
They're like, you know why? They're like, why? They said, because you're like the Trump of the Strand.
Exactly.
Like you're not controllable by anyone, and you have erratic energy to the fact that you're just going to go left if you want to go left. And I was like, yeah. So you look at anything going on in politics right now, though, or you look at anything that's happening, do you have to be aware of it? Yeah, I think you need to be aware of what's happening. But at the same time, there's only so much you can do.
It's true. Yeah, it's good advice, too. It was one of my questions, too, especially as there's this idea is being promoted constantly to, like, not watch the news, just be in bliss the whole time, regardless of what's actually happening. What I find is where I'm very in tune with what's happening in politics and the news. Even if it's wrong, I can see what they're trying to promote and try to read between the lines, do my homework. I have great relationships that that can speak to this. What I find with the generation below me is they're so clueless that they literally will believe anything they see on social media, and the algorithm only speaks to what they know, and that's everything they know. Yeah. And that is scary to me because they're so controlled like puppets, and no one seems to see it. One of the things I think about you when I think about you, and this is why I like doing the show, is like even though you are brash as hell, and I love it. But I know how this could easily rub a lot of great people that are church people potentially the wrong way, and I just want to speak right through that. That when you look back on history, you're going to be on the right side of the way you handled these years. I'm convinced.
Yeah, 100%.
You're the guy.
Yeah, I know I am.
Is on the right side of this.
Well, and it's the thing is that John is so much as like a right or wrong side, so much as this. There's a choice to where it's going to happen. Over the coming months, heading into this fall's election, it's not if chaos is going to happen. It's not if. It's not, well, if Trump wins, then there won't be chaos. Or if Kamala wins, there won't be chaos. It doesn't matter who wins.
Right.
Whoever wins is going to be chaos.
Right.
And the difference that's happened now is that the people on the Trump side and conservatives on the Trump, what they've done is, if you back up and look what happened, God knows exactly what he's doing. Biden winning has woke up more men like me and you and tens of thousands of men like us, aggressive, intense, fit, weaponized, wealthy men who get done.
Right.
The biggest mistake that occurred was him becoming president.
I agree.
And yet the greatest plan for God was him becoming president, because if Trump had stayed president, we'd have stayed comfortable.
Yeah.
But God has to be comfortable.
I think it was two levels, because I think Trump was a gift when he came in because he exposed the sleeping giant. And then when he got out, I think it woke up a lot of people that still didn't get slapped hard enough the first time through COVID. And maybe there was a, excuse for people that just are a little, just oblivious to things. But now it's clear as day. And that's why I think social media, big tech, all these globalist powers, they put such a grip on people like you.
Yeah.
And that's why I really liked it, how powerful your voice is. And that's why I promote it. That's why I want you on the show. And that's really something I think I fall in line with. I want to make sure that I'm a fighter that's on the right side of history and didn't stay silent when I know that there's evil that is swarming everywhere. And there's a lot of guys, this is a great conversation too, even beyond just this neighborhood, but have big followings that have a lot of influence, and they agree with us.
Yeah.
But they will not speak it to their community because they're so afraid of, I don't know what, that they're going to lose half their money. And I think that's probably a fallacy as well.
Well, dude, listen, when I was being prepared for this, like God's Father told me, like, the thing I'm called to do hasn't even begun yet. I've been preparing to do the thing I've been called to do. It's not even started. My ministry, if you want to call it that, has not even begun. People are like, well, that's ridiculous. Look at all the things you've done. I say, yeah, these are all preparatory stuff for the thing I'm actually going to do. And I already know what it is. I ain't even talk about it, but I know what it is already. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, how did I get to that preparatory place? Well, if you back up, I've been trained for 12 years to speak that's uncomfortable for people to hear. And it was truthfully uncomfortable for me to say.
Yeah.
Very uncomfortable. But the minute you get comfortable saying it, it's great. Well, I had no idea I was going to become an advocate for Christ publicly. No clue. If you'd asked me 5 years ago, hey, dude, you can talk about Christ publicly? Absolutely not. I didn't support people talking about it inside a warrior. We said we call it the voice. We don't talk about Christ, Jesus, whatever. The voice. I was raised with Mormonism. When I left Mormonism, I said, nope, all Christianity, all of it. And fuck God, I'm not even playing the game anymore. So God knew what he was doing. He came back to me, and I connected with this voice 15 years ago in me, deep and real, ultra running, and I just call it the voice. So I've been listening to this voice this whole time leading me. This voice told me at the beginning of elections when Trump was running last time against Biden. I was living in a house in there, and he said, hey, I want you to post about who you're going to vote for. I felt this prompt. I was like, oh, yeah, I don't ever talk about politics, but sure. And I post about Trump, and I would go take a shower, and I come back like an hour later. There's like 2,500 likes, and a war zone broke out in comments. And I was like,
yeah, right.
What the is this? Then I got real passionate for about 6 months. Then Black Lives Matter happened, and all the riots started happening, and all this going down. And I'm like, man, I felt the same voice say, I need you to try on that you're systemically racist. I'm like, oh, shit. So first I'm talking about Trump, and I lose a ton of money. Then I'm talking about Black Lives Matter, and I interview every black guy and woman I knew.
You did?
Yeah, all my clients, all my friends. I interviewed like 27 of them. I was doing a weekly interview series.
What kind of questions did you ask?
I was just asking them all the stuff about black people. I'm like, you've been black people in my life. We never talked once about you being black.
Right. No one thinks about it.
I've been hanging out doing business with you for like 8-9 years, or I've been a client of yours or a mentor of yours.
Right.
We didn't once talk about you being black. How are we talking about you being black now? So like, that's fine. Let's talk about it. So we talked about it, and they shared, and all my hairstylists were black, and all these individuals that were in my world. And then I went public with the idea that I was systemically racist as a white man. I mean, and this blew people's mind too. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be a civil rights activist. And I had all these black communities, and all these people super excited about Garrett's going to be the big voice for the black community. And I was like, and then boom, shut off right out of nowhere. Like, God's like, you're done. Politics, you're done. Stop talking about those two. Then December of 2021, 2021, 2020. So it's right in the same time period. All this happened in the same time period. I get this prompt at the end of one of our meetings, our events, a big event of the year. I got this prompt that this voice was saying, I want you to end this thing with prayer. I was like, a prayer? This is what I'm thinking to myself. End with a prayer? I ain't end with a prayer after this. This is a business training. What are you doing? Prayer? I'm thinking this myself. But it keeps going for like an hour. End in a prayer, end in a prayer, end in a prayer. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. No, that feels weird, feels off. I'm not going to do it. Thousands of people here. This doesn't make sense to do this.
Inauthentic.
I was like, I don't know if I should do it or not. But again, if it was prompting, you should end in prayer. So finally get to the end. I'm like, fine. So I'm like, all right, everybody close your eyes. Let's take these some deep breaths. And then I start saying this prayer. Now I'm halfway through this prayer, and the same voice in me says, now I want you to end it in the name of Christ. I'm like, no, now you cross the line. I'm not going to do it. I won't do it. I'm not going to do it. And then I'm like, and then of course I did it.
Wow.
That sent me on a trajectory of being baptized, of coming to know Christ, accepting Christ as my Lord, accepting Christ as my Savior, accepting Christ as my King, and also accepting my calling to bring Christ to the front line of industry.
Wow.
But none of that is possible if I don't start promoting Trump, because I wouldn't have the courage. God prepared me, speaking truth to the world about Warrior, for 10 years. Then he says, I want you to take on a political thing and I want you to lose millions. Trust me. Then I want you to talk about being systemically racist and piss off all the white people that you like. First, I'm going to piss off all the other people, like all the black people, because I'm liking Trump. Then I'm going to piss off all the white people that like me because I'm going to be telling like I'm systemically racist. And then I'm going to pull the mother whammy. And I'm going to profess Jesus Christ publicly in a business setting. Then I go on stage at ClickFunnels and I come out all white with a worship team and we sing Blessed and we do this worship service at ClickFunnels live. People are like, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing right now except for this is what I feel like we should be doing. Now I will run the most dominant, powerful men's virtual Bible study in the world. We started up 3.5 months ago called Warriors for Christ. Why? Because God told me to do it. I don't know why. I partnered with Business Bible by Nick Leonis, who wrote the Business Bible, big fun Wall Street guys.
Yep.
There's a thing that we're being asked to do. You're doing it. You're going to be asked to do more. And there's more you're to be doing. More aggressive. You're not around enough aggressive dudes like me. Don't mean aggressive like fight, punch, punch, punch. I mean full unhinged truth. You there, you're knocking.
Yep.
You're there and you're knocking. What's the thing that you know you want to really talk about, but you feel like you haven't been able to talk about it on your show?
What is the one thing I want to talk about?
What is the thing that you, if you could talk about it every day, what do you want to talk about?
You mean honestly?
That pisses you off and fires you up and you're like,
Politics.
Okay, good.
It's just in me to do it.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah, all day.
Then this right here, this thing right here,
yeah.
This is making a decision saying, listen, I'm the guy.
Yeah.
I am the guy, and I'm going to bring truth to you about what's going on in politics, and I'm going to bring truth to you about what the is happening to us from the entrepreneur perspective, and I'm going to become the voice of reason. You might not read politics, but I'm going to tell you what's going on.
Yeah, well, I just see such a younger generation that is so stupid, and I say that with all due respect. I really am not trying to call anyone out. It's more or less that like they're just oblivious to things that are happening right in front of them.
No, they're stupid.
And it is so bad.
They're stupid.
It is so bad.
They're so stupid. They're stupid. And they're not stupid because they're trying to be.
Yeah.
They're stupid for an interesting reason. They're stupid because of the fact that they are rejecting fundamental principles that they know don't work.
Yeah, right.
Which is great. That's smart. Where they're stupid is that's where they're stopping. They're not pursuing the next thing. They all understand marriage and all this other. Marriage isn't working. The way marriage is done right now is not working. It's not working. If school systems aren't working, college is not working, our government's not working. They're very aware of what's not working. So they're smart in the sense that they're like, I reject this not working. Where they're all dumb is in their video gaming and vaping and smoking weed and each other and doing stupid shit and not do anything about it. So if we can help them bridge the gap on this, is that who you really want to talk to? You want to talk to young people?
Kids, yeah.
Really?
Well, I look at innocence as being destroyed.
Okay.
And I'd love to be if you're just going to turn this on like where I think the mission of this whole thing is if I feel like if a dad can be a hero to his child and he says you can do it, well then daddy, how come you going to speak to that guy? Kind of in a sense what you do is what speaks to my heart.
Yeah.
But then that person becomes someone that becomes dangerous in society for the right reasons. The ones that make society valuable and ones that protect innocence and the ones that are the heroes that kids can look up to. So through you or through people that listen, I hope to really set the tone for people to like step into the light and really become that version of themselves where at the end of the day, like their impact is felt. Like even with my business, even in my own family, any kids that come around me, my ability to even young bucks and my ability to sort of like the gift that I have is sort of like they can level up to my standards just in a few short weeks, whatever I communicate to. But at the end of the day, like that is sort of my the control that I have. How come every guy in America who's pissed off is not doing that? Or like finding their outlet to go ahead and like, the level up. And I think first and foremost, people got to be honest with themselves. Like, are they dominating in all domains of their life? No, they're probably not in most respects. And it's not, I try not to come from a perspective that I'm better than anyone. It's more or less of like, I fight every day to keep my standard intact. In this area,
you are better than most people. What are you talking about?
Well, thanks, Garrett.
You're better than 98% of the men that walk the planet.
I appreciate you, man. I'll let you
It's
say
not
that.
even like, I'm not even like kind of better.
Yeah.
It's like a lot better. Part of this, listen, part of the challenge is the fact that to step in and do this, you have to accept something. You've been called and you're better. I'm better than 99% of men that walk the planet. I'm a better father. I'm a better husband. I'm a better lover. I'm a better man at making money. I'm a better at fitness and handling my body. I'm better at managing my addictions. I'm better at connecting to God. And people are like, oh, that's arrogant. No. Don't put your light on a hill and cover with a bushel.
Yeah.
We've been trained not to talk about our dark shit and not to talk about our light shit.
Yeah.
So here we are sitting in a $30 million house up on the deck. Why? Because I came from a trailer in Stockton, California. I had no money. I was raised in poverty with parents who had no clue, who were religiously terrified.
Yep.
You have no excuse.
Yeah.
Like, be this.
Yep.
So you want to talk to my generation, you want to talk to kids.
Yeah.
Who do you want to talk to?
I think it happens through talking to our generation and below.
Our generation never really listened to Andrew Tate. We like him. We don't really listen to him. Meaning, not taking counsel on how to live life from Andrew Tate. But I respect the shit out of Andrew Tate. He's called by God. He went to prison so God would have a talk with him.
Yep.
And people are like, he left Christianity. What's he doing? He's following his calling. Why? Because the Muslim world of young men is massive. And Andrew Tate becoming a Muslim in order to go reach those people is part of his path.
I didn't even know that.
Oh, yeah. He was a Christian, became a Muslim in prison. And now is speaking and teaching the Quran. And Christians are like, oh my God. I'm like, what are you talking about? Andrew Tate's very clear about who he speaks to. He doesn't speak to you and me.
Right. So he's speaking
to single. He's speaking. That's what I'm asking you. Is that who you called to speak to?
I don't know. Can you do both?
I don't know.
Do you need to have a center focus?
Yes, you do. It's why I train married men with children.
Yeah.
Why? Because married businessmen with children are my dudes. I get it. I have a penis. They have a penis. They have a wife. I have a wife. They have kids. I have kids. They have a business. I have a business. They have stress of business. I have stress of business.
Yeah.
And they believe in God. Okay, good. Me too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then when I speak of my pain, they understand. They're like, oh, he's reading my mail. I'm not really reading their mail. I'm just reading my mail, which is like their mail. But if I try to train women, it's different. There's only a certain kind of woman that listens to me. They're very alpha, aggressive, intense, very beautiful, powerful women.
Right.
These women listen. It's like my wife. They will connect with me because they resonate with the power and the intensity. 99% of women, no.
Yeah.
No. I'm vulgar, I'm misogynistic, I'm whatever.
It's too much.
Teens are listening to me. I'm too old.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's looking like he's 65. Hey, Grandpa, your pants are too tight.
Yep.
Hey, you're too old to be wearing those Speedo pants.
Yeah.
Like, they just talk shit. I'm like, I get it. Yeah. I understand. I get it.
Right.
But you, how old are you?
41.
Bro, but you're 41 and look like 31.
Thank you.
You got that young going on. Looks great on you. My wife's like, I need to get some more Botox in your face. You got too many wrinkles. That shit, really? You got too much gray hair. You know what the HGH does? It makes body hair grow out of everywhere, faster. So listen,
true.
You have the space, but if it's going to be politics and power and profits,
yep,
and you're speaking directly to the 20-somethings, it's not that you can't work with dudes in their 30s. Maybe it's dudes in their 30s. But what I know is that the man on a mission has got to have a particular man he's taking on a mission.
Yeah, I agree.
Which means if he's bringing women on the Man on a Mission podcast, he's going to make sure these women are empowering these men on a mission.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Yeah. I think, it's funny. I've interviewed so many men and women, and all of them bring something valuable to the table.
Yeah.
But all of them, the one thing that I think is natural is every one of these people have the courage to step in the light and reveal some truth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those are people that I respect. Yeah. It's never people that have it perfect. It may look perfect, but it's the ones that have the courage to tell the whole story. And for me, in my story, that's where I found real peace, because I'd won for so many years, but I won by never telling the truth. You know what I mean? I was running a racket.
Yeah, I get it.
Dude,
listen, I realize nobody can come on your show and do this. This is what I do. This is my world. I flip scripts and flip tables. This is my job, right? Yeah. And part of it is seeing, because this piece of them being on the show and listening and watching, and part of this makes you human. You're good looking. You're fit as f***. You have a beautiful wife. You have wealth. You have success. Your podcast looks great. It's perfect. It's beautiful. You're a beautiful human. And we want to know you bleed.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you're so perfect. it's hard for people to realize, hey, Eric bleeds. Eric hurts. Eric cries.
Yep.
Eric has hard days where he wants to tell everybody to off, burn everything to the ground, and only the touch of his wife's hand on his chest, not his cock, on his chest, calms him down. Although it might calm you down if it went to your cock too, but I'm just saying right here to the chest and calms you down.
It's
right?
true. Yep.
That's a piece. Then that's the piece that I think men need right now is they need to see powerful men like you and I who bleed, who yell at their wives, who get angry at their kids. They're not perfect. Because then the problem is people start thinking that everything is, they think that they create a narrative from what they see on Instagram. The reason why I up on my Instagram, I don't give a about social media. I just because it's more for my clients than anything. Because most people follow me are clients or people who influence big
and you have
groups.
teams too. I mean,
and I do a whole bunch. I just don't care about that. I run so much advertising. It's like whatever. But I do my best to make sure, because you go to my wife's page, it's just pure princess perfection.
She's a brander for sure.
Dude, it's just
she's a brand.
Chanel.
Yeah, agreed.
Gucci.
It looks great.
Prada. And it looks great.
But she's got a strong voice too.
She does.
It's worthy.
I'm like the dirty side of the beautiful perfection. But I do that because I want people to see. That same beautiful Prada woman, her and I got in a fight a number of years ago. She hit me right in the forehead with a Prada shoe. I was bleeding, hit me on the hand. We yelled and screamed at her. We spent years trying to figure ourselves out.
Yeah. She talked a lot about it today too. It was good.
Hard. And this is the piece that men need more than anything.
No, I agree.
Is to know that, hey, bro, if you're struggling at home right now, you're drinking too much, you're yelling at your kids, you're feeling stressed out, guess what? You're not alone.
Yeah, 100%. You think that's what's missing in this space?
It's truth.
Yeah, all that.
It's just truth. Truth's missing everywhere.
Yeah.
And the greatest part about truth is when truth arrives, right? We don't have to go hunting for God. When truth arrives, God is there.
I agree.
And where God is, transformation is possible. So if we want people to transform, God must be present. Right. I can't transform anybody.
Yeah.
You can't transform anybody. God can.
What kind of, in Warrior, what is the type of avatar, the guy that shows up most frequently in your world? Is it someone that's broken, someone that's at their wits' end, someone that's won in life but is now, had bad habits, toxic environment? Who shows up more frequently to you?
Warrior's gotten really big now, so like we reach a lot of people. But personally, like who I directly spend most of my time with are top producers, because the problems of the top producer are very unique. So people look at this life I have and they think, "Oh, I want this life." I was like, "You couldn't survive 1 week in my life." That's
true. It's a whole thing. Yeah,
you couldn't survive the pressure, the financial decisions,
shareholders. If you're depending
investors,
what industries,
you couldn't handle the pressure. So people said to me, like, "Well, I want what we have." I was like, "You couldn't have what I have." Or people say, I would never get your house. I was like, "You can't buy my house." It's like me saying, "I would never get that car." You can't afford that car. And when you can, that means you bled at a certain level to get to this place. So but the challenge is that group that I'm called to is not the group that everybody's called to.
Right.
Like at every level, there's different. That's why I ask about the teens and I ask about the 20-somethings, because somebody's got to lead them.
Yeah, 100%. Let me ask you, when you deal with someone that has won at the highest levels in business and money, what does it look like under the hood of those types of people? Because not a lot of people will ever have access to the truth about people that have won at levels that are hard to comprehend. I mean, you talked about a property down here on this neighborhood that could comp out at $100 million. A guy's got $100 million into it. There's levels to this. That's just one home. Yeah. You start getting in some of these worlds of people that like are at the top of the food chain. Are they any happier? Is their household in order any more than the average guy even?
No.
Yeah.
What I will tell you is that, interesting enough, the higher up the food chain you get, the more that men have two things. They have wisdom, but they also have awareness. And the awareness factor is much larger. And it's just like this. Like, I thought back when I was 190 pounds surfing, I remember walking around thinking I was jacked. I did. I'd walk on the beach and be like, "Oh, everybody up here." I just felt that way. I was just like, well, and I never once had looked at my own back or my ass. This wasn't something I did. When I looked in the mirror, I looked at my chest. I wasn't turning around looking at my ass. I had no ass, dude. I had pancake ass. So much so that like my wife would make fun of me. And I had no lats. I had no back. Now I have lats, ass, and back. All of it. And now the more fit I get, here's the wild part, the less fit I feel. I'm more self-conscious about it now, meaning I'm more aware.
Right.
There's levels of this, dude. Look, you're a little soft right
True.
now. My car, the fact that I would tell you earlier today, man, I'm feeling a little flat because I've been low on carbs the last 4 days.
And I laughed. Well, come on, dude.
I would have never said it like that.
Yeah.
So the more aware you get, the more you realize how far away from some things you are.
True.
When you're ignorant, you just don't know. You're like, oh yeah, I'll be a millionaire tomorrow. It's like a network marketing conference. I'm going to make $1 million a month in residual income the next 12 months. I was like, what do you do right now? I work at Circle K. But listen here, Bobby Bud Light, that shit ain't happening.
Yeah.
So when I start to come down this with these guys, a lot of their awareness has them get trapped in a lack of joy in life.
Right.
So some of the biggest issues is depression, anxiety, stress, sadness. They tend to have also gotten to the place they are. They have gone through hell and back with their wife, and there's a lot of scars.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to deal with it. More than half the guys are in sexless marriages. And they're not cheating. All of them. Some are.
Yeah.
Not all of them.
Quiet desperation.
Quiet desperation, bro.
Yeah.
They're not attracted to their wife anymore, or they're just disconnected.
Yeah.
I mean, I have guys coming into my world haven't had sex in 4 years.
Yeah. Men have a lot. They're getting a lot of right now, but men have it hard. It's not easy to be a man.
No, to be a powerful man that produces and provides you jobs in a society that is constantly, perpetually telling you suck.
Oh yeah, and you're all the bad things.
I've been sued by all of them. We've been sued by employees for stupidest shit ever, like just entitled victims. I'm like, it's just a lot of pressure, right? So these men, the biggest issue is the fact they just feel alone.
Yeah.
They don't have anybody to talk to. And so the more isolated they are, the more alone they are. In their world, they're the king, and everybody talks to them and asks them for shit.
Yeah, yes men everywhere.
So they can't take the crown off and really come home and say, hey, man, I'm scared right now. Yeah. I ride down here at this table, sitting right down here. I had 13 guys right down here. Every single one of those men, one of them made less than $10 million a year. Take home. And you listen around the table, they all say the same shit the dudes are saying at 100,000. It's just a different level.
Right.
It's the same feelings, though.
Yeah, numbers just change.
It's the same 12 entrepreneurs, 13 entrepreneurs who make 100,000 a year.
Yeah.
They all have the same feelings, just at different levels.
Yeah, your wife said something interesting. A lot of these guys, they'll figure out the money game. They'll figure out leverage and ownership, which is one of the catalysts to sort of like, we all understand appreciation and how this all works. A lot of these guys figured that out, but they didn't apply that same standard in their marriage,
Not at all.
in their personal life, in their fitness and health. And I think all domains are very important to look at, including the faith one, where purpose enters your life, where I don't know about you, but I find more intrinsic value and purpose than I do in my bank account, than I do in my net worth. Probably more there than ever. It tastes different. And I didn't have that until I had everything.
Yeah.
You feel that?
I do.
Is that common that purpose usually sort of really enters in when you start asking the right questions? And that's only after you've realized that you can have whatever you want?
We found it over the last 12 years that a guy is really after two things: getting paid, getting laid.
Honest answer.
Yeah, just to get back to the basics. That's the only marketable thing they'll respond to. It's the only thing they'll buy off of, because at the end of the day, this are the two things that drive men. Get my penis wet, make cash. And typically, it's make cash and get my penis wet. This is the story, right? So men think, if I produce more, my wife will want me. The challenge is, they produce more, the wife doesn't want them. 9 out of 10 times. It's the saddest shit you've ever seen. So the dude pours all this energy, time, and effort into making this empire and building this kingdom, only to have his wife not want him even after he's built all the wealth. Which is why these guys cheat.
Right.
It's why they have affairs. It's why these women have affairs. And you're like, well, what the f***? What is this all about? Most women are not being seen. So, right, guys weren't taught to see their wives. They were taught to provide and protect.
Right.
And if I provide and protect, truth is, you should want to blow me. This is the thought. This is real talk. No filtered church. This is what guys think. I should come home on a Tuesday. I have provided and protected. This woman has everything. She should want to blow me. I should be getting a blowjob tonight in the shower. This should be happening right now. I should be looking down, holding her head, getting a blowjob. This should be happening right now. You know what you're getting into when you brought me on the show, bro.
Let's go.
We're going. And every single dude listening to this show right now, that's exactly the thoughts they've had. They'll lie their asses off about it in their khaki pants and plaid shirts at church. But I've sat with tens of thousands of these plastic puppets in my events.
Yeah.
And when is stripped back, Dudes want to have sex and they want to make money. Now, once a guy's having sex and like consistently and having orgasms and he's making money and he can pay his bills well, now this dude starts to ask the good questions.
Right.
What is the purpose of my life? Because for a guy, if he's not getting laid, there's really only one purpose going in the background. He'll hide in production for a period of time. He'll hide.
You think this is in a society where testosterone is getting lower and lower and lower? Is this the traditional male that we're talking about, like the one that me and you were used to? Because are these younger guys, are they really that way? Do they really have the sex drive of a real alpha male? Is that even a thing?
I think a lot of the girls are with too.
More and more, it seems.
Yeah, a lot of the girls are more than like.
Well, that's what I'm seeing.
Like they hunt like guys do. Like guys used to is how women hunt now.
Yeah.
Women are hunting dudes, and a lot of these guys are happy to just be, a donation cock.
Yeah.
These young kids in their 20s. Like I sit with a ton of them. Like, all right, boys, let's strip it back and talk about what's going on.
Yeah.
And we talk about it, and they're like, I'm between porn. And they're basically, if you live in Orange County, they're around porn all the time.
Yeah.
Go to the beach any given time. Any girl between 12 to 65 is in a thong back with tiny bikini and titties out.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You watch these young boys sitting with these groups of like 12 girls and all their asses are out. I'm a grown ass man. I walk by, I'm triggered by 14-year-old ass. I'm not even trying to be triggered by it. I'm like, the dude, I'm not. That's like my daughters. I'm not even trying to do this, but I can't help it. I can't imagine being 14. You're already walking around hard on all day long anyways.
It's different now. I just said this on some other podcast. I remember it was channel 61 for me when we first got cable. We used to have that TV where the knobs went. We got this cable box and it was channel 61. And every once in a while you see a boob. And that was our porn. That was our social media. It was what we could see, touch, and feel. And I remember my brother being sneaking in my parents' room because they had the box. And we'd go to 61 and it would be all
flicker back in titties. We just saw titties.
Yeah,
too.
we just saw
titties.
The point is like innocence being destroyed right now.
Oh, it's gone.
And so I think
it's got porn is completely wrecked.
I was going to add this. My next question. I'm leading up to that.
It's wrecked
porn
them.
Destroying society?
Oh my God, it's wrecking kids. It's wrecking families. It's
sad.
Wrecking marriages. It's wrecking, and you got now it's everywhere. Dude, come on. If I had a cell phone at 9,
that's a good
10,
point.
and I could access porn on the cell phone.
You're right.
The crazy part is girls have this expectation that all these young dudes get rich as f. No girl expected me rich as f when I was young. Danielle didn't expect me to be rich when we were young.
Wow.
She just thought we were going to f around, go down to the Del Taco and go get us this place called Jacinto's. We used to go to 25-cent or 50-cent movie night, get her some ice cream and some tacos, and we were good, $10, done. And now it was a great date night in a car. Yeah. Now, I watched my son when he was like 21 trying to date. These girls expect him to be driving around in like a brand new Corvette, going and taking her to Cabo. I'm like, and my son feels pressure like he should have my world now at 25. He's already having like midlife crisis at 25. I'm like, son, you're literally 100 times better than I was at 25. I was a server at a restaurant. If you run a business, you make 20 grand a month. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
So they're just, everything's distorted. Now, if you come in too and you think this, think about how much porn destroys the mind's perception of sexual reality.
Yeah, right. It's terrible.
Now you get with a girl who is like like a normal young girl. She's not a porn star, but your brain thinks, oh, I blown right out of the gate, and then I should
have a normal relationship anymore.
We should be doggy, and then I should flip you over, and then you should bring your girlfriend in, and we should be having a threesome. We should be doing this. This is how, because that shit I was watching, and then some scissoring is going to happen. It's going to be great. So all the shit they're being bombarded with, even all the good little Christian boys, they're all getting hit by this shit. Even the parents trying to hide it from their kids. Yeah. The boys are being pummeled with it, and what are girls being pummeled with? Same shit.
And the bigger question is, who's behind this? Is it the industry? Is it government?
Porn's been pushing the industry forever. Is it the government? I have no idea.
You know, you just wonder.
Somebody with money is pushing all of it. The government's not even the government.
The bigger question is, what is the byproduct or the benefit of a society that's so messed up?
Slaves.
That's it. I think you're just. I'm setting that up. Like
it's slaves.
Yeah, I think.
And we're fast heading there. In Europe, you know what's crazy being in Europe, in Greece again? No one's on their phones.
Interesting.
You go to restaurants.
You notice that.
It is every time I go to Europe. I've been to Europe 5 times the last 2 years.
That's amazing.
Go to Paris. No one's on their phones.
Really?
Yep. Nope. Go to Dubai. No one's on their phones. Go to Greece. No one's on their phones. Go to Oman. Nobody's on their phones.
No one's on it.
No one's on their phones.
Americans
are slaves.
It's messed up.
On their phones all night. You go out to dinner. We were out in Greece. Everyone's out. Everyone's out drinking and having a good time.
Right.
Not one guy selfie being taken by anybody. No one's taking selfies. No one's doing stories.
Yep.
What are they doing? Connecting.
Right.
They're here. And what are they doing? Walking everywhere. Walking, connecting. They're socializing. They're being with people. They're connecting with human beings. That's why, yeah, they might get the text out of them, but I think a lot of Europeans are way happier than Americans.
Yeah.
Parisians, for sure. These guys take like a 4-week vacation every year, the whole country.
Right.
And they just off and go to a different country. And like it's, so I see where it's at. We've become slaves to these phones.
Do you think that's why society here in America has so much depression in it?
Yes.
So much suicide?
Yes.
Especially teen suicide now?
Yes.
Record numbers, they say?
Yes. All of it. We can't even accept ourselves. I was telling my son, I was like, son, you got to remember, when I grew up, we knew the girls at our high school.
That's it.
And occasionally,
Yep.
we heard a rumor of some hot girls at another high school that might exist.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when we would play football, we would travel to said schools and we would look in the stands for these mysterious unicorns.
Yeah.
And if you did attempt to approach said unicorns, you would have to fight the entire male student body of
Yep.
that high school who was defending those girls.
Yeah.
So it was if you wanted them, you could go for it. You were going to get a fight. I got a couple. And I got mauled and got in big group fights and got jumped by 12 dudes at once, and it paid the price. Wasn't worth it. Stay with my unicorns. Son, you can get on your phone and look at hot bitches all over the world. And no matter how hot your girl is, there's somebody that looks hotter. No matter how cool your car is, there's somebody's cooler car that looks cooler.
And that's a problem.
It's a horrible problem. It's why we're so depressed.
And it's rewiring brains.
To never be happy or
Exactly.
present with life as it is today. To never be grateful, to never be excited, to never be happy about where you're at, because there's always somebody who's doing something cooler than you.
Yeah.
And here's the funnier part. Everyone, for example, people like I love Wes Watson. I know a lot of people don't like Wes Watson. The only thing Wes Watson really, really wants,
Habits?
my life. What do I have he does not have? A wife and children. Of all the things this man wants, he wants a wife to love and children. He doesn't have those things. So he's pursuing what he can pursue. To be rich, ripped, and rare. Which is great. It's great. There's not a lot of married dudes following Wes Watson. Why? Because I don't want to work 24 hours a day in all 74 time zones, 7 days a week. I have a wife and 5 children. That plan doesn't work out. I have a Bugatti. It's called 5 children.
Yeah.
And a $30 million home in the beach in Strand. So the challenge in these guys, all these guys have something. So Wes has something, you have something, I have something. We've been taught that like it's so hard to be present with where we're at because there's always something else we don't have. And it doesn't mean you can't be happy with where you are. It doesn't mean Wes or you or me or anybody that we know isn't happy. Eric, I know those two are hating each other for some reason, I don't know. But is Eric less happy being single than he is being married? I don't know. I know this. My wife and I and our family have become the standard.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why we're rising as a couple, because there is what we have pulled off as a married couple, individually, collectively as a couple, and our family, and our wealth, and our bodies, and our spiritual truth, and our lives. We're not trying to be better than everyone else, but the fact is, we are. Not in a sense of you are worth less.
Yeah, and it's not entitled either. You worked to get here.
Everyone can do it.
Yeah. And that's the message.
But not everyone will do it.
Yeah. I wonder why that is. You know, it's funny. We're thinking about like winning, and there's some crazy statistics out there. There's actually a study done that said that 98% of people die without achieving their dreams in America. And the numbers that are built into that study was done by the Wealth Research Group. They're pretty alarming. But if you look at the statistics, most people are going to die with a ton of regret. And they're not going to really come anywhere near close to their highest and best use, their greatest potential in this world. It's alarming to me, especially when you consider how much information's out there. I mean, there's countless books on it. Some of the greatest books I've ever written, you know, like you'd think like, oh, you want to win? There it is. It's right there. Shoe Dog, Nike, biggest brand in the world. Nike shouldn't be here. That's Phil Knight's story. Go do that. That's what winning is. Like there's so many examples to follow of what it's actually going to take to get you to a rare place in life. Why is it so rare? It's right there. Blueprints are everywhere.
Work. We just don't want to work. Along with this, we've been sold a whole bunch of lies. We've been sold the lie of retirement, which is Luciferic. We shouldn't retire. We weren't built to retire. That was not God's plan. It's a pure Luciferic lie. Sell me your life for 60 years, and I'll give you back 10 before you die.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a lie. We were meant to rest, not retire. The entire securities market is security. What? They lost $1.4 trillion in less than 2 hours. This is phantom money. You're teaching entrepreneurs to put their money in other people's businesses and not in themselves. You're teaching normal people to work their whole lives in jobs to retire, which was never the plan. So I'm going to live my best years working for someone else and grinding my ass off, hating what I do, so I can die a couple of years into my retirement. They push retirement age again because people are living longer. We're living so much like education. It's not that we're not to be educated, but the school systems are complete garbage. Elementary schools, high schools, colleges, a university, 90% of the kids in college should not be there. It's a money factory. Our prison systems are a money factory. Our churches are money factories. The government is run by money. So at some level, you and I have figured out a part of the game.
Right.
Because unfortunately, all the posting memes on Instagram aren't going to change it.
No, you don't do anything with that.
Prayer hands.
Yeah.
Praying for the people.
Yeah.
Sending prayers. Not going to work.
So if someone's 19 and they come from tough circumstances, what do you say to that 19-year-old kid right now?
Learn to love yourself through learning and obtaining skills. Alex Hormozi says, stack irrefutable evidence that you are who you say you are. So what are those skills that you need? Personal power. Can I have habits and disciplines for myself? 2, respect myself. 2, learn marketing. 3, learn sales. 4, learn how to lead people. If you take care of how to discipline you, how to market, how to sell, and how to lead people, you will become wealthy as and do whatever you want, no matter who is government, president, no matter what our country does, no matter what this world society goes to. Because if you can do those things, you will never be hungry.
How do these people that have these fears that sort of pop up and get in the way, how should they overcome those obstacles?
You have to understand everything about our life is driven by our stories.
Right.
I stood right up there. You see those people that are taking a video right now of the sunset? Look at that beautiful sunset. Right now. Are we getting that camera shot in there?
That is beautiful.
Look at that. Look at this sunset. We should be doing a show this way.
Yeah, talk backwards.
We're going to put our backs to the cameras for a second.
Talk backwards.
Backwards is right.
Yeah,
so
that's God
I
right
stood
there.
right up here.
Wow.
In 2013, Danielle and I had come to this beach. We'd never been to this beach before. Ever. We had no idea how we'd gotten here. We stood right up there. There were no homes in this whole development. This whole development was empty. There were just green grass lots. And we stood up there and asked ourselves a question. We said, we want to live in this place. We just moved to California, Gilbert, Arizona. I said, we want to live in this place. And we looked down here and the sunset was going down just like right now, only there was no house. None of this. This house didn't exist. No house here existed. We said, who would we have to become to live here?
That's a good question.
And that question started different stories.
Yeah, right.
Right? My stories, you changed your story and launched Man on a Mission.
Yep.
You told yourself a different story.
Right.
Our lives, the women we date, the places we go, the food we eat, the places we train, how it's all driven by a story we tell ourselves. So really the first marketing has to be is dealing with me. How do I deal with marketing in my own head? This is why we created stacking at Wake Up Warrior. So I have tens of thousands of men and women every day using a specific tool to reframe and rewrite your brain every morning. Every morning you having a dialogue, dealing with yourself, talking with God, talking with yourself, rewriting your stories to stack you into action to do what's required.
Right.
I sit right out there, smoke a cigar, and do it every single morning for an hour and a half.
Right.
Every single morning. Every morning, 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Dealing with my feelings, dealing with my thoughts, my stories. So most of us don't know how to do that. We've not been taught how to do that. We've thought that our thoughts are just our thoughts, and because we have thoughts, they must be real. Not true. And we've also been taught that we have to default into our thoughts. Most of the things we think are true were given to us by our parents and churches and governments, and we don't even know what we believe. Most people have no idea who they are. They don't know what they actually believe. They just regurgitate they hear from other people.
Right.
They regurgitate what their pastor says, what their parents say. They regurgitate what they heard on the media. They regurgitate what the TikTok person said. Wow. They don't actually have an original thoughts themselves at all.
Yeah.
So if I want to be in power, I have to have original thought.
Right.
Which means I have to understand myself.
Yeah, that's perspective shifting. Like if you can apply that every day, I think that's what I hear you saying is be able to put your perspective correct. And you're right. If you ask the right question, you're going to get a different outcome.
Every time.
I'll give you just a trick that I stumbled upon was death. When my grandma passed away, that was one of the few deaths that I think dramatically changed who I am as a person. That death haunted me. And I lost sleep over it for a year. I started thinking about my coffin every single night. I think about how quick this time's going to come and go. I started battling with time. Time became this elusive thing that I was struggling with. But naturally what came of it, because I'm the type of guy that's indefatigable and I just keep going until I find a solution. I couldn't put an answer to things that made me feel at comfort. Never been so far from God at that point either in my life or any kind of faith at all. But I was trying to find a logical solution to questions I never asked. And one of the things that came of it that turned into one of my daily systems is bringing death into almost every decision that I do. I didn't realize I was practicing some sort of stoicism or really tapping into Marcus Aurelius and some of the great philosophers. At the time, I'd never heard of any of that stuff. But what I thought was, well, I can't control this, and I've tried everything. So let me just start trying to figure out how to turn it into gold. And what it would do is if I'm going to think about dying right now, it would just change my ability to be here right now with no stress on the table. You know what I mean? It's and that's how I started handling it. And it really put me in a position of power because I was only playing the powerful chess pieces and all the other ones that were just doing nothing go for me. I could get them off the table. And it really allowed me to be present with my wife and family in ways I never had before. And so it just became this gift that was in everything. And then the fear of death slowly, as I found purpose, started disappearing. And that's really where I found, you know what, I think I found my purpose as I stumbled into this world. But I realized, man, this is what I'm meant to do. There's something more for me, and who would have ever thought? But everyone's got that story, I think, hopefully, if they do it right, where they can stumble upon this kind of thing in their own life. But I think you're right. It's always a story, and it's always the questions you ask yourself.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I'm grateful, man. I wish we could go longer. I think it's about to be dark.
Yeah, it is. There's been a Iron Man podcasting at the White House.
Been. This is cool, man. Thank you. I'm very grateful for you.
We love having you here, man.
I know you're a fighter, man, and a lot of times I'm sure there's people that just don't understand you, and if they took the time to understand you, and I'm sure a lot do understand you, as you've done so much damage in this space, beautiful damage. But if hopefully I could bring a light to something you that if it wasn't there, if our audience wasn't there, I'd love to do that because you're someone that I think, no matter what, if you're a religious person or not, or if you have any kind of good in your heart, I think you'll find what you're doing and seeing the impact that you've made, and really become a huge cheerleader for what you're doing. So I don't see how you cannot.
I love it
because it's all about sort of the action that's behind the man. And I think it's beautiful. So thank you, brother.
Well, listen, people argue with my methods and have from the beginning, they will to the end. I'll die and people still argue with the methodologies of what I do and how I do it. But at the end of the day, you can't argue fruit. You can't argue my fruit. You can't argue the fruit of tens of thousands of men at this place. You can't argue the fruit of their wives and their family and their children. You can't argue the fruit of the 26 men's movements that now impact 100,000 men a month, every single month. Yeah. So while I used to be super concerned about all these people and what they thought about me, the reality is we have such a large movement of men and impact. Oh. The evidence and the fruit of the lives that we've impacted at this point in the game far outweigh any of the critiques from the pumpkin profile patches and the private profiles on Instagram that are just fake accounts anyways with people talking shit and miserable, depressed, overweight women with cats that live in condos that want to have an opinion about me, and a bunch of dudes who probably should go to the gym also and play too much Call of Duty and jerk off to Pornhub every night. I'm not so worried about their comments either.
He had to end with something. All right, guys, if you like this show, please share it. We can't go anywhere unless you're sharing our message. Garrett, thank you for having your beautiful home. Your family's beautiful, and we love you, brother. Thank you. We'll see you next time.